Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Sam Babiak, and I'm the Program Director for the Writers League of Texas. I am here with Joe and Diane, the owners at Patchouli Joe's Books and Indulgences in Leander, Texas. And so thank you guys for joining us today. We really just want to get to know more about you and your bookstore.
Well, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. We're happy to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So let's just get right into it. How did you get into the bookstore business?
How long have you got for an answer? We have a story behind our bookstore.
Yeah, well, I'd love to hear it.
Okay.
You want to start? You want me to start?
You can start and I'll jump in.
Diane and I actually were in high school together at a small air base in Germany in 1977. And if you look on our logo, it says established 1977. Someone asked, well, are you a franchise? No, when we opened, it said, are you a franchise? We said, no, that's when we met. We met in 1977 at this small base in Germany. We knew each other for about 10 months. Then Diane came back to the States and we lost touch for almost 40 years.
And then one day his name came across Facebook. And so I said, oh, I don't know if you remember me or not. And
I remembered her.
And he remembered me. And so we got married and moved to Leander.
One of the things I've been passionate about books as long as I can remember. And I think I was somewhat of a latecomer. I spent 20 years in the Air Force. I was something of a latecomer to indie bookstores and later in my life and really appreciating the value and they're almost a living, breathing thing. And so I was just passionate. I consumed them everywhere I went and started thinking seriously about a bookstore in about 2005, started looking into what it would take. Again, Diane and I reconnected in 2017 and she was teaching school. I told her of my love of bookstores. One thing led to another. She had plans for her retirement.
My plans for my retirement have always been to sit in a smelly good store and sell things that smelt good. Yeah. And so when he wanted a bookstore, I was like, oh my gosh, we can do this together. So
hence books and indulgences.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. What a nice story. Wow.
Anyway, but yeah, that's how we came together. That's kind of how, she was an elementary school teacher, so she saw the power of reading. I've always loved books, so the passion for reading is something that's always been important to me, and the ability to share that with other people is just one of the greatest gifts for me I can think of. So
yeah, definitely. And I love that you talked about sharing the love of reading, because I think that's just so essential and important, and having an indie bookstore in your community does wonders, I think, for the reading community as well.
I agree.
If you could describe your bookstore in 3 words, what would they be? You can talk about the character, the mission, the community. Yeah, just 3 words.
First word is inclusion. We try to be very welcoming of all people and all beliefs and try to include everybody in our store.
The other one we came up with was engaging. We want, our tagline is expand your mind, indulge your senses. And we want to engage people's senses when they come into the store, their sense of sound. We've got old music playing in the background and we've got lots of smelly good things in the store, soaps and candles and incense and so on. And then the tactile, the touch of the books and we want to engage all the sense of sight. We want the sights to be engaging in the store. But more than that, we want to engage the community. We want everyone in the community, no matter where they come from, what their background, who they are, we want them to feel safe in our space. And we work really hard to do that. So that's the second word.
And then the third word's love. We purposely do not have books that promote hate. At least we try not to. If they do, we don't mean to have them. So we came together with love. We want to spread love.
Yeah, definitely. I'm
You
so
know,
sorry.
it's kind of that hippie vibe of everybody is, you know, everybody is deserving of love and everybody's deserving of being in a place where they feel valued. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, those are really great words. I love that not only do you have bookstores, but you're really talking about and setting the scene for the indulgence part of your store and like the smells and stuff. And it makes you want to visit it so badly.
Oh,
We
um,
come
love
see
for
us.
you too.
We're open.
oh, yeah. And so I'm wondering, what's your favorite section of the store?
Want me to go first?
Yeah.
We have named our different sections. So we have a section called Hippie Village, and it sells, we have bumper stickers and incense and oils, and that's my favorite. Just
Quirky little
quirky
things like
things.
little Volkswagens, you know, flower child, you know,
Yeah.
Volkswagens and
1962 vans, little toys, and yeah, so that's my favorite section.
and I personally love the what we call the patchouli patch, the children's section. Again, I'm so adamant about the importance and the power of reading, and the sooner a child finds something that gets their attention, rather than forcing a particular thing on them, but when they find that thing that sparks their passion, they develop that the ability to read and the passion for reading. And I believe that that literally opens up the entire world to you. The ability to read, you can learn science and math and social sciences, whatever it is, you can literally, that door is opened by the ability to read. So I love to see when a child, when that spark goes off in a child, or when a child is dragging their mom or dad into the patchouli patch to go look for the next book. I love that.
Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. And so what would you say the responsibility of a bookstore is today? And you've talked about, bringing literacy to children and that love for reading. But do you think that there's more to that? And maybe could you expand?
I mean,
Just safe place.
huh? A safe place.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that was your answer.
Yeah. A safe place for people to find information and yeah, it goes back to the inclusion that I feel like that's the responsibility of a bookstore, is to give as much information to people as they're wanting.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and only partially joking, I think the number one responsibility for a bookstore today is to survive. That's again partially joking, but I believe that bookstores are kind of the modern day agoras from ancient Greece, where they were sort of the center of artistic and spiritual and intellectual and political life. And they kind of were a marketplace where people could bring their goods. And I feel like it's a bookstore's responsibility to fight against the factors that are conspiring against them in normal circumstances. In circumstances like this, that survival has been even more of a challenge. And unfortunately, one of the people we went to a course year and a half or so ago, and one of the people we went through who opened a store has recently had to close it. Just wasn't able to navigate and survive the circumstances. We've been very fortunate that we've been able to, but that's really, it's really, really important to us to continue to provide, like Diane said, that place for people to be welcome. And that's also why we carry so many items that are local: jewelry, paintings, bookmarks, books, things that are created locally, in my mind, sort of represent the spirit of the community. And it's a bookstore's responsibility, because if not there, where else, kind of thing. So we want that to be a place where that need is filled within the community.
Definitely. And indie bookstores, I think, are so special, and that they really are for the community that they're serving. And it's just really great that you're also, providing opportunities for local artists to sell their work and stuff like that. And so it's so much more, I think, than just, selling books. It's
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you've already touched on all of the little things that you guys sell besides books. And so I'm wondering, what's the one thing that you love to sell to customers?
we sell bumper stickers that have cool sayings on them, and I love when that happens. And
Yeah.
like coexist, exist responsibly,
Hippies were right.
Yeah, hippies were right. Hippie chick. I mean, I just think that's really cool when we sell those things.
We've got one particular supplier that we get those things from, and they're our favorite because we look through the catalog and it's just like, oh, that's the coolest thing ever. We gotta get that. My favorite thing is the soaps. We have a branded Patchouli Joe's branded soaps, and geez, 20 or more scents, aromas. And the reason that I like that so much when people buy that is that was like the very first thing that Patchouli Joe, that was the very first Patchouli Joe's indulgence, was the soap. And I feel like every time somebody buys a Patchouli Joe soap or a mug or any of the other branded things, a piece of the spirit of what we're trying to bring is carried on. It lives on a little bit in somebody's home or in somebody's shower or wherever it is, but feels like that spirit of love that we're trying to generate is part of it. Gets to stay in the world a little bit beyond our doors. And it's, so I just, soaps were our very first item. So they all have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, and that's so unique. You know, y'all are the first people who have said that you sell, you know, your own branded soaps, and I think that that is so cool. And it sort of encompasses like how bookstores can be so much more. Cool. So this will be our last question for today. Is there anything else that you would like folks to know about your bookstore?
This one was this one was a little emotional as we were thinking about this.
Yeah, because
so I'm gonna make Diane do it.
Through the pandemic, we've just tried to do everything we could to keep our doors open, and I can't even read what I wrote there, but I took notes, but we had certain customers that just kept us open. We had families that would come in and call us and order from it. We started curbside. We started porch delivery as soon as the doors closed. Before we got deemed essential because of homeschooling. We were able to get deemed essential, but we still kept that, and we only allowed 2 people in our store at a time with masks on when we were allowed to open, or when we felt confident enough to open. And those families that kept us going made us remember that we've always said it's God's store. And every time we start to think we're going to close, something happens, that a family would call us and come in and want to buy things. And we just feel like we get those little reminders from God to stay open. And
we had, it was a couple of months before we were able to actually open the doors. And we had to pivot. We had to get creative. People said, I need a book. How do we get a book? And we said, well, we don't know, but we'll figure it out and get back to you. But just the little joys that those things brought, and particularly in the first couple of months, puzzles, people wanted anything as a distraction. They were having to adjust to not having the freedom to do the things outside their homes that they had previously. So they were looking for ways to entertain themselves and entertain their children and make life a little bit more comfortable. And we had somebody come in the store last Saturday, we celebrated Independent Bookstore Day. This Saturday, we're actually celebrating our first anniversary on September 5th, Labor Day weekend. We opened last year, but we had a lady that came in, Mary Ann, last weekend, and she said that all throughout the pandemic, she said, I want to make sure they're there. Patchouli Joe's is still there when we're able to get back out. So she said every payday, she would order 2 books and 10 sticks of incense to do her part to keep the doors open. So our store is not just a place of business. Our store is a place where, well, we can't give people hugs now, but that'll come back. But where people feel welcome, they feel loved, and they're fighting as hard to keep us open as we're fighting to support them and be there for them. So those are, I think, the big things that I think are really what we're trying to be in the community.
Wow. Well, it sounds like an incredible bookstore and such an incredible community too, you know, and for them to support you guys just as much as you're supporting them, like that's what this is all about, I think.
Yeah.
Can I tell you one more story? This
Yeah,
is
of course.
this is a little thing. There was this mother and daughter. She was about, the little girl was about 3, blonde curly hair, and I would see the mother walking, you know, taking her out for walks with the, I think they had a dog too. And you could just see the personality bursting off this 3-year-old. She would be in her sundress and cowboy boots, just strutting down the road. She owned the world. And I used to just, I've been working at home since March, and I would see them and tell Diane, I said, oh, there they are again. Well, we got a call one day from at the store, said, look, or an email, I think,
Email.
said, I need to order books for my 3-year-old daughter. I need to order these 10 books, and I'd like 1 book delivered every Wednesday. Well, it turns out that was the little girl 3 doors down from us, right here on our street.
They didn't know we owned the bookstore.
Yeah, they had no idea. We had no idea. So every Wednesday, Diane would take that week's book and put it in the first time we put it in a Patchouli Joe's bag. After that, they would leave the bag on the porch, and like Mrs. Patchouli Claus here would deliver a book into the bag that they had left out on the porch. And that's the kind of thing we're talking about. We got to know a neighbor that way. We got to help a mother entertain and keep her child, you know, engaged in doing something positive throughout the difficult time. And just for her to know, and she still has no idea that I have anything to do with it. I don't know that the little girl has seen either of us. But she just knows that on Wednesdays, Patchouli Claus would bring a book to her porch. And I just love that. That's one of my favorite stories. I get so many stories about the store of people who've touched my heart. So
yeah, that is so lovely. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thank you so much, Joe and Diane. It was lovely meeting you guys.
Thank you so much, Sam. Best of luck.
you.
And we appreciate all the work that you're doing here to support indie bookstores. So thank you for that.
Thank you.